call, please. Ms. Whitcamp?
Alan Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards,
Yes.
Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico,
the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
That sounds like a mess.
Okay, thank you guys. Are there any modifications to the agenda?
Mr. President, I would like to have one modification to the agenda tonight. I'd like to pull policy J3400, students, searches and interviews and interrogation. I'd like to do some more work on that for the board before we bring that back.
Okay. You mark that off on my little thing here. It's the last one.
Of course.
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Mike, why are we pulling that one? There are some issues that I would like for us as the committee to review everything that's in place on that board policy, to make sure that we have everything aligned to what we are needing. We no longer have SROs, so we need to look at that, all our procedures and process. We also have to look if we want to incorporate the issue from the Farley case as part of board policy instead of administrative procedure. I sent those out, if you remember correctly, February, March. To make sure that we were under the guidance, we were still under the guidance of the court system from that time period. So I just want to make sure everything's in place. And if the board wants to include that portion of, in that policy.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve with modifications?
So moved.
So moved.
I have a motion made by Mr. Edwards. I have a second made by Ms. Kirk.
That's fine.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Alan Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards,
Yeah.
Guys have it, and the motion is carried. All right, let's begin with recognition, Mr. Gottlieb.
Mr. President, members of the board, Jayla Morales participated in the New Mexico State Land Office 2020 Open for Adventure Bookmark Contest for the 5th grade students. She was recognized as winner for Chaves County. She's currently a 5th grade student at Military Heights. We do not have the principal here tonight, but I think we have somebody
with
I
us?
think we have somebody with us that would like to talk about young Miss Morales.
I wonder who that is.
Miss Morales?
Ms. Morales?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Superintendent and President Getty. I actually have Jayla in the bedroom with me. You all couldn't see her dancing in appreciation for us recognizing her tonight. I do want to say Jayla is one of my personal heroes. She is always willing to put herself out there and take chances, and she lives her life with little to no fear. So I know I strive to be more like her, and I can't wait to see what she does as she continues herself and her life and growing up. So I'm proud of her, and thank you, board, for recognizing her.
Well, we'd like to have her come and meet the board when we are able to do that in public again, Ms. Morales.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Nice words, Ms.
Jayla.
Morales. Congratulations.
Good job. Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
I like that.
That's really cool. James, on our end over here, when you talk, we have quite an echo. It sounds cool. Okay.
Did anybody hear Mr. James?
Yes.
Did anybody hear Mr. James repeating his name like 10 times? Or was it just my phone?
It's something in his phone or something in the connection.
Okay,
So,
okay.
all right, we will now have inquiries and general comments. Ms. Whitcamp, has anyone requested to speak?
Yes, sir, we have two.
Okay, well, please listen and speak with respect. No uncivil conduct will be permitted. Please do not discuss any specific student who is not your own. Please do not discuss confidential personnel matters, including those of disciplinary nature,
Hi, Joey.
regarding any RISD employee. This should be discussed with the superintendent or the employee supervisor. Please self-monitor and observe the 3-minute time limit. We'll give you a 30-second warning when your time is almost up. If needed, we know we don't have to worry about that. Public commentary and dialogue is only guaranteed during the public forum. You may speak on any topic, whether it is on the agenda or not. Your input will be taken into consideration. Please be advised that the board may discuss your issue during the meeting, but by law, the board cannot take action on items that are not on the agenda. All right, so this is a call-in, so we have our first person.
We have our first person, Mr. President, Jody Flom, Big Reading Committee. You're up, Ms. Flom.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. I hope everyone is finding themselves doing well, both personally and professionally. I'm Jory Flom. I'm the literacy coach for the district, but in addition, I'm part of the committee for the Big Read, or some of you may have known it as Roswell Reads. It's been about 10 years since the Roswell community has participated in the Big Read program, one that is funded in part by the National Endowment of the Arts. The purpose of the Big Read is to promote literacy and unity in a given city or community by having as many people of all ages, from students of middle and high school age through senior citizens, reading the same book and participating in a wide variety of activities that are related to some of the book's main themes. ENMU Roswell is the lead organization in the current Big Read project. It is partnering with a number of different community organizations, including the Roswell Public Library, Anderson Museum of Contemporary Art, Roswell Museum and Art Center, Hispano Chamber of Commerce, and the Roswell Literacy Council to ensure that participation in these events is genuinely a community-wide affair. So after reviewing 32 books on the NEA's Big Read list for the 2020 and 2021 academic year, we selected Into the Beautiful North by Luis Alberto Urrea. So copies of the book will be distributed widely throughout the community to ensure that everyone has a chance to read the book and participate in the range of community activities. There will be versions in both English and Spanish available. My main reason for speaking to all of you this evening is to bring awareness of this community activity and also ask for the support of our ISD. We have numerous activities planned for September and October of this year. The kickoff will tentatively be on September 12th, and we'll have several book talks planned, as well as a poetry, a writing, and several art contests, including a loteria contest, which means lottery in Spanish. And Nancy Fleming at the Anderson Museum has the information on that. There will be a writing workshop on the National Day of Writing. And also with the book talks and with the National Day of Writing, I just want you all to be aware of that those workshops involve several RISD teachers leading those activities. And we actually have the author, Luis Alberto Urrea, tentatively scheduled to come to Roswell to speak. Once we're able to meet and kind of regroup and see what will be allowable under the health department guidelines, we'll be sure to keep you all updated. So at this time, I just really encourage all of you to read Into the Beautiful North. And also, as ELA teacher for the previous 26 years. I feel the book would be appropriate for 11th and 12th grade students, and then we can incorporate other books that have a similar theme for the K through 10 levels. And like I said, those are all board approved. So I'll be emailing all of you some information on the big read, and I certainly hope you'll all be participating and enjoying reading Into the Beautiful North as much as the big read committee did and I did. And so I just want to thank you, and I'm super excited for Roswell and our community to participate in the big read.
Very cool, thank you.
Thank you very much, Shirley. Appreciate it very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, next, we have to wait because we have to make the phone call, so just hold tight, everybody. Mr. Gottlieb is making that phone call for our next comment.
Just an FYI, we will be calling Ira Roddery regarding the Del Norte demolition.
Okay?
Let's try that again. Yes, Mr. Roddery, this is Mike Gottlieb with the school district. Just fine. Thank you for picking up. We're ready for your comment. I'm going to put you on speaker, and then we'll go right into the system. Are you ready, sir? Okay, thank you. All right, we're ready.
Okay, I take it this is with regards to the wall.
To the wall at Del Norte. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Everybody knows, my mom is one of them. I'm one of the ones that has my handprint on that wall from 21 years ago. My mom, along with quite a few others, are scared to death. Of course, you know how mothers are. They are scared to death that that handprint is going to be missing forever and gone forever. Because, you know, we all know kids' handprints ain't that small anymore, so the moms kind of like that stuff. If there is any way that I'm still in touch with a bunch of the people I went to school with back then, if there's any way that I could possibly get that entire wall just set aside during the demolition, I could then go after the fact and take the handprints of the names and disperse them through my friends for them and their mothers. But anyway, I was just hoping that there was some way we could possibly get our handprints for our moms. That would be an awesome late Mother's Day gift. And the handprints have each kid's name under it. It's not like these handprints are just random handprints and you just pick one because it looks like yours. No, our names are underneath it. The teachers whose class we was in, and hell, I'm pretty sure the date is on there too, but no, I know for a fact that our names are under there and the teacher's name is on the side, so it's not hard to figure out which handprint is whose.
Mr. Roddery, I'm going to have Mr. Cole talk to us and to the board about what your request means or what they can or can't do. Mr. Cole, are you on?
Yes, sir, I am. Thank you, Superintendent Gottlieb, Board President Getty, members of the board. And just to kind of touch on and Mr. Roddery. The wall with the mural of the handprints is unfortunately affixed to the permanent wall of the building. And the problem being that the wall of the building has encapsulated asbestos. Now, you know, in tearing down or demoing the building. Let me just tell you where we're at in the process right now. If you drive by Del Norte Elementary, you're gonna see a van and some trailers out front in the old building with some masked off areas where they are abating the asbestos in that building right now. Unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to peel that down without breaking some pieces and the wall and all of that coming out with it in the asbestos abatement. So unfortunately, and I hate to tell you this, we're not going to be able to do that. However, what we are doing to capture those memories and those contributions to the school at that time, and I mean human contributions, your attending and those of your classmates, is we're going to take some photos, and those are going to just be displayed in the new building when you enter the building. I wish I could tell you that we had a good way to make that available for you. I have checked with our construction manager, and he has checked with other people as well as our asbestos abatement contractor, and that just wouldn't be possible, and we could not distribute that to the public in the condition that it's in, with parts of the wall and the asbestos and all those things. And so I apologize for that, but I do think we have a pretty good plan to take some photographs and display those in the new Del Norte Elementary building.
Okay. Well, not that I doubt your photographers at all, but are there going to be some close-up photos of the names and the handprints, or is this going to be one great big far-away photo of the whole wall where you could hardly read names?
Yeah, and I have not seen the photos, so I wouldn't venture out to tell you one way or another. I'll tell you that our Creative Learning Center is working with some folks here in town. They're very good. They tend to be artistically inclined in nature as a group, and I know this, they will do a great job with it. I don't have any doubts about that, but I wouldn't want to promise you, yes, you can see your name and all of those things without seeing the photographs myself, and I have not seen them.
Mr. Cole, could you find out for the family and let them know?
Yeah, that would be, absolutely, yes, we'll do that.
And maybe even an example if they have any ready.
Say that again, I'm sorry. If they haven't.
If they have any of the photographs ready and what they would possibly look like.
You bet, absolutely, we can do that.
Later on, you could get an email from him and email him.
That would be great,
Okay.
yes.
That would be wonderful. Are y'all gonna want my email address like
Well,
now, or y'all gonna send a thing out?
no, we'll call you back personally, so it's done privately. And then once we have done that, then you can get your email account to Chad when he calls you, or Abigail Smith, who's at the CLC, so that you can get that privately and send that to you, so you can have that within your email system, and so that you can see what we're doing. How about that?
That'll work. I appreciate it very much, guys. I appreciate y'all even considering this, because, well, hell, I had no idea that there was asbestos on that wall, but it is an old school, so it's not surprising.
And that was with Mr. Carlisle there, I would imagine?
Yes, sir, Mr. Carlisle. Believe it or not, there was one year we got him to eat worms because we did so good. I'm sure they were fake worms, but...
Actually, I do remember that. I do remember. Yes, sir, I was at Military Heights at the time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, yeah, of course, that's how long ago it was. I mean, but yeah, that would just mean the world to my mom, and I'm sure other mothers as well. But I mean, if y'all can't do it, I mean, y'all can't do it. It's all about safety, right?
Yes, sir, but we'll find out what we can do and then probably publish that if people want photographs of that.
Okay. Well, that'll work. I appreciate y'all's time today.
Thank you
Thank
very much,
you.
and tell your mother thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good rest of y'all's day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Mr. Gottlieb, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Was that a creative learning legacy project? Or was it just spurred by the PTA or PTO at Del Norte?
That is so far back now, Mona. I think that was before we started up the CLC. Let's see, 8, 7, 15. No, I was at Military Heights, I believe, at that
I
time.
think she's talking about.
So, yeah, that was before the Creative Learning Center.
Yeah.
Okay, so my second response to that is we had the exact same thing happen at Missouri Avenue.
Yes.
And when we were remodeling or rebuilding the Missouri Avenue, there was a legacy project on the wall there. I don't know if you remember, right in front, when you walked in the front door, that huge legacy project.
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
it couldn't be moved. So we had the Creative Learning Center at that time. That was me. So we moved that project. We took a picture of it and had it replicated and put it in the new Missouri Avenue building. So I think that would be an awesome thing we could do for those parents and those kids, and maybe do individual pictures so they can have that as a legacy.
I don't
Thank you.
know, Ms. Kirk, I don't know if they took individual photos or just group photos. I can't answer that ahead of time.
Is the wall already gone?
Well, if it has asbestos in it, that's what they're doing right now. And we cannot enter that building.
Right, right.
That's the problem, yeah.
I get it. Okay, that answers. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the approval of minutes.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of May 12th, 2020, and the special board meeting May 21st of 2020.
Are there any modifications to the minutes of the regular board meeting May 12th, 2020, or the special board meeting of May 21st, 2020? If not, may I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Hilda? Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second,
So
Ms. Morales.
I think that was Ms. Morales.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Alan Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Was that me?
yes,
Sanchez.
ma'am.
Sanchez? Yes, I couldn't hear her.
It's okay.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. The consent agenda is now up. Go ahead.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the consent agenda. Consent agenda to approve May bills, authorize June bills, and approval of the June bar.
Is there any discussion? If not, may
Mr.
I have...
Getty,
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I
I
have
think
a
that's
couple
on
of,
their end.
cool. Mr. Edwards, if you turn down the volume on your laptop, that should help with the echoing. But I have a couple of questions, and I don't need very deep answers. I just want to have a better understanding on a couple of things. Mr. Cole, when I'm looking at the utility cost by school, overall, by school level, the costs are pretty close and comparable with each other, but there are a couple of schools that seem to be extra high compared to the other school levels. Can you help me understand why some are a lot higher than others?
Sure. So specifically, Ms. Morales, are you looking at electric utility or perhaps water?
I believe it's electric, and for example, Berendo Elementary and El Capitan, it seemed like those utilities were a lot higher than the other elementary schools.
Okay. Can you reference the page number for me, Ms. Morales? I'll get there real quick.
Yes, sir, and I apologize. I know I was making my notes this afternoon, and
No, they're
I think
good
I need to
questions.
open.
Yeah, they're
I need to
good
open that
questions.
document back up.
Because I always look at the utilities and wonder the same thing myself. I don't have a specific answer for you right off the top of my head, but I can research it and
Okay,
find out for you.
No problem. And I understand with some of the high school, like if they prepare the meals at the school, some of those I get, but just a couple of these were extra high. And I can get you the page number and the amounts, and we can discuss it more later. I just want to, like I said, have a better understanding.
No, and I think that's,
Mr. Cole, I
Yes.
think that's on page 24.
page 24, okay, let's see.
Thank you, Ms. Kirk.
Absolutely.
Let me get there
Yeah,
real quick.
it's correct.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
excellent.
So the Berendo Elementary example, yeah, it's on page 24.
Okay. So Berindo, and I will say this, again, this is off the top of my head, and also it looks like Berindo Middle School and Elementary were pretty high.
But the middle schools are still a little closer.
Yeah, Miss Morales, and I know, I don't know about LCAP, but I know Berindo Elementary. We had early voting going on at that school.
That's right.
And so we
That's
were
right.
having the electricities out in the lobby, the air conditioners on in the lobby, and is also in the gymnasium. So
Which is-
I know
yeah.
we had all that whole area besides, they were still working, the principals, the secretaries were still working at that school site during those times, which not is usually that much, but I know that during the election time, we were open 4 days a week or 5 days a week, I don't remember, because I voted there and had been there basically all day. So that always adds a cost to our schools. I can't tell you whether or not LCAP was one of those schools.
And that was gonna be my thought on it as well, but I'll go back and look specifically at it, and get you a little bit firmer answer, but that's my initial thought as well, is that they had the voting going on out there.
Okay, no problem. And Mr. Cole, if I can direct you to page 22, one of our larger purchases was for the Creating Social and Emotional Learning.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
is that for a program, or I don't know what that is?
Creating social, okay.
Okay, Ms. Cole,
That's the,
Ms. Cole, are you on?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Is that our Dr. Holly?
No, that would not be Dr. Holly. I'm not quite sure unless it's Billy. Could you, Ms. Morales, would you mind repeating that question?
Yes, I'm sorry, Ms. Cole. On page 22, we have a larger purchase for Creating Social and Emotional Learning. That's what it's tagged under. I didn't know if it was a program for our counselors or something at the school level. I just wasn't familiar.
Yes, ma'am, I do know what that is. So we actually have an online, it wasn't scheduled to be an online training, but it was actually scheduled right before the closure. And so we were able to move it to a virtual training. And so it's a session on social emotional learning. And we purchased books for all of our elementary teachers. And it's just a basic informational book to begin building capacity among our staff in social emotional learning. And so then the training was offered these past 2 weeks virtually, and actually I believe Mrs. Sanchez participated in that training.
And Ms. Cole, she has some.
You're right, Ms. Cole. I remember seeing the emails for the trainings.
And Ms. Cole, Ms. Sanchez probably has a couple things. This would be a good time to bring that up. Ms. Sanchez, what's your thoughts, so Ms. Morales can understand what you saw today?
No, what I saw was 14 participants of our employees, and they were all really excited and ready to go and implement some of those lessons. And I was asking Mr. Gatla if he knows how many teachers have actually taken the training. And Mrs. Cole, would you be able to answer that?
Yes, ma'am. So we had capacity, I believe, for 150 teachers when we were planning on doing it in person. And since we sent it out virtually through Learning Stream, I'm not sure what the numbers are for teachers who have signed up for the training. But at the end of when we're finished with it, then we'll be able to run those reports and see. I know that we still have room available, and we still have training tomorrow and Thursday. Some more, so teachers still can access those trainings, and even our secondary teachers, if anyone is interested, they can certainly access them and sign up through Learning Stream on the district's website.
And for the board, I've been receiving emails regarding this, and principals and teachers that have emailed said this is some of the best training they've ever had. So we're going to highly encourage people to get a hold of that and participate in that.
Yes, sir. We have had principals participating, and they have given really great feedback. In fact, I just had one of our principals text me and say that they really enjoyed it, and so we want to continue providing those opportunities for our administrators, for our teachers, our educational associates also can participate in those opportunities.
Ms. Cole, is it going to be an option in the future when restrictions are lifted to do an option for this training in person, or are we going to plan for just virtual at this point?
Ms. Morales, so we definitely know that we want to continue to build capacity in social emotional learning. It's one of our district's priorities, and so with that said, we also have to remember the budget constraints that we may be faced with in the future. So yes, we would like to have those trainings in person as much as possible, but that all will be dependent upon the money that's available to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Cole.
You're welcome.
Ms. Morales, that was a very timely question, so thank you for asking that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, and I apologize. I remember seeing all of those emails. I just didn't connect the training with this item. And I just wanted to ask, and I apologize, I don't have the page number. With the dossier classes that the district is providing, are we having a large number of teachers participate in these classes?
Mr. Hero, are you available?
Yes, I am. I had that very same question, Ms. Morales. Thank you for asking that. With the submissions of the dossier that I reviewed for the district on behalf of the district, and we did not have the records of the attendance, but that is something that will be changed for the next group coming through, and that way we can keep more accurate records and see how many people are actually in attendance. Preliminarily, I can tell you that the people that have attended just informally have been very positive about their experience, but again, we don't have any hard data on that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hugh, I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
And my last question, knowing that the budget may be a little bit tighter next year, I want to do better about understanding the budget and how money is being spent. So I'm not sure, Mr. Cole, if in the future, if we can receive these reports by Excel so that I can better sort and organize the data, or if we could get a report by the school level specifically for supplies. I just want to have a better idea of how the school is spending some of their operating money on supplies and what they're using it on, especially now that we're in more of a budget crunch. So hopefully identify some of the best practices or just compare how spending is happening across our schools.
Sure, Ms. Morales, I believe we can export that out to Excel. I'll have to look into that.
Okay, no problem. And that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved. This is Morales.
Ms. Morales with the motion, and Ms. Sanchez with the second.
Yes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alan Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have action items. First one is Hamlet Transportation and Pollard Bus Company Athletic and Activity Trips Contract 2020-2021.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the Hamlet Transportation and Pollard Company Athletics and Activities Trip Contract for 2020 through 2021.
All right, is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President, I have a question.
Yes.
Mrs. Sanchez, on the area that says routes and schedules, the contractor shall operate the buses according to the routes approved by the board. Is that something that's done yearly?
I'm sorry, where are you at? And
I didn't hear the whole thing.
I didn't hear your
Are
question.
you talking,
really
did
well.
you say, Ms. Sanchez, about the routes?
Yeah, it's under routes and scheduling, and schedules. And
Okay,
it says A, the contractor shall operate the bus or buses according to the routes approved by the school board. Is that done yearly?
Mr. Tweet, are you on?
Yes, I am. President Getty, Superintendent Gottlieb, members of the board, we do have the routes approved annually. They will be coming at the next board meeting as part of our transportation plan. We are working on finalizing that, but we will bring it to you next month for board approval.
Mr. Tweet, will you go over the state guidelines for what we have to follow on that?
With respect to bus contracts or route approval
Or the routes, how are the routes developed according to state guidelines?
Honestly, since I have been with the school district, we have not looked at the rerouting of the current bus routes. What we are required to do with the bus routes in place annually is our bus contractors are to look at them, to look at the number of kids at bus stops and look to see if we need to move bus stops to different locations or make any changes to routes, just based on how populations may move during the school year.
Can I chime in just for a second, because we're off the agenda a little bit. Right now, we're looking at the activity trips contract and athletic contract. I don't mind talking about this, but I just want everybody to be aware that we're voting not on the service contract, which is the next item on the agenda. So I just so everybody's aware that we're gonna vote on this one, and then we're gonna have another bus one come up that Ms. Sanchez's question will actually relate to better. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
No, it's okay, and it's no big deal. I just didn't want people to get confused because we're gonna have two votes.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
right, so she's, if you didn't see what she was mentioning, you would have to go to the next item on the agenda to see that. Okay, that's all. Sorry. So, Ms. Sanchez, did he answer your question for the next agenda item well enough?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I'm sorry, I went ahead of myself.
No, you're fine. I can understand there would be confusion. It's easy to get confused on this one. Is there any other discussion on the athletic and activity trips contract?
Can I ask a quick question on that?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm not sure if it goes on this one, on that $50 cleaning fee. Who makes the decision of an unreasonable, excessively dirty bus? Who makes that decision?
I didn't hear that.
It's number 5, page 2, and it says a $50 cleaning fee will be charged by the contractor for an unreasonable, excessively dirty bus.
Okay.
And she's asking who makes that decision.
Mr. Tweet, who makes that decision?
President Getty, Superintendent Gottlieb, members of the board, it is the bus contractor, the bus driver, I apologize, that makes that decision. They do like to do a walkthrough with the school leader of the activity trip when everyone's departing, so that if there is an unusual circumstance or an excess amount of trash or what have you, there's usually a conversation between the RISD staff and the bus driver.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
That's a good question.
Here.
All right, anything else? Okay, if not, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion made
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Edwards, a second made by Ms. Kirk. Roll call.
Alan Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
All right, next we have the 2020 through 2021 student transportation service contracts for Hamlet Transportation and Pollard Bus Company. Can't talk today.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the 2020-2021 student transportation service contract for Hamlet Transportation and Pollard Bus Company.
Do we have any questions regarding this?
Mr. President, I have one question.
Yes.
As we start talking and preparing to go back to school and taking into consideration the safety of our students, do we need to consider adding bus cleaning and sanitation to the scope of services or safety within the contract? I think normally it's something we kind of expect, but I wonder if we should be more explicit within the contract.
Ms. Morales and Mr. Cole, Mr. Tweet, please chime in. We have not found the regulations for the state yet that are going to be required. They're working with the CDC guidelines, and they are having a very large committee, something like 68 people committee that is going with that. We are desperately hoping by the end of this week, we have the guidelines that will be given to us from the state of New Mexico and this committee. We have been meeting weekly with area superintendents, 15 to 20 of the area superintendents. The bus issue has come up several times. On that issue, we do know that we'll have to follow whatever guidelines they come through, be it number of students on a bus or the wiping down of the seats and the rails. Those are all the things that we are going to have to wait and see as we move forward what the requirements are going to be. In the past, and I don't know this question for tonight, but we can definitely find out, the bus company does a wipe down of their bus. I don't know if it's daily, weekly, or every other day. I do know they have a cleaning procedure that they follow. We will have to look at making sure that we provide all the cleaning equipment that is required by CDC, particularly if we have a child or driver that is found to have the virus. There's some special steps that we will have to follow as a district as we go through that process. I don't think anyone else has any more information on that at this time, but I'll stand to be corrected from Mr. Cole or from Mr. Tweed. Mr. Tweed or Mr. Cole, do you have anything else?
Yes, sir. So you're exactly right. There are a lot of things up in the air as we await guidance to come in. We have reached out to both of our bus contractors and made them aware that there are going to be some specific cleaning procedures coming down the pipeline, and that our expectation is that we will follow those to the letter. We have also communicated with them that we will be helping them with those cleaning supplies and other supplies to reopen safely and transport our students and keep our bus drivers safe, quite frankly. The other item that we're looking at is staff and the ability to bring bus contractors, similar to as we're going to be looking at for the district, bringing back staff and looking at high-risk categories and underlying conditions and those types of things. So those are all very important things in looking at it, but we don't have the specific information to add to a contract at this point. But your point is well taken, Ms. Morales, yes.
Thank you all very much.
If I could just add on to Mr. Cole's thoughts, in talking to the bus contractors, they do understand the need for the buses to be disinfected, and also the majority of the bus contractors' employees are of a higher age and part of the more vulnerable people to get COVID-19 and have the toughest time in fighting it if they get it. So our bus contractors are very conscientious of it and definitely don't want it to affect the students and also their employees as well.
Thank you all, and that was my only question.
Thank you, Ms. Morales. Any other questions?
Can I ask a quick question, Mr. President?
Yes, absolutely.
I was gonna ask, are the bus drivers required to be tested for the coronavirus?
I missed the last part of your question. Are bus drivers required?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Just like our coaches, we knew by the requirement from the Athletic Association and the governor's recommendations that we test our coaches before they work with our kids. That's all part of that guidance that we're waiting to find out.
Okay, Mr. Galvez, thank you.
No, good question. Thank you very much. We
Thank
sure
you.
appreciate it.
Anything else? All right, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I
This
make a
is
motion to,
Ms. Morales with a motion, and who was that, Ms. Sanchez with a second?
yes, Mrs. Sanchez.
Thank you. All right, roll call, please.
Alan Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
All right, next we have a bid recommendation for food.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of a bid recommendation for food.
Do we have any discussion?
Yes, I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
Am I still echoing?
No,
You're echoing a little bit, but not nearly as much. You're much better.
All right. My question is, I'm looking at the bid recommendation, and I'm looking at you got Benny Keith, El Charro, Labatt, Shamrock, and Cisco. How does this compare to our bids in the past? Have we always dealt with Labatt?
So, Mr. Edward, if I could chime in, this is Chad Cole. So we have in some years, yes, and in some years, no. It's partially determined whether they respond to our RFP or bid. In this case, it's a bid. Then it's up to, a lot of it revolves around the pricing and the product availability.
Okay, my next question is, did we use Labatt last year?
I would have to go back and look at that one specifically, Mr. Edwards. I don't recall off the top of my head.
And okay, and then what I don't see on here is I don't see the delivery dates. You know how we have the bus contract that shows, hey, you're going to provide this service on this date, blah, blah, blah. And I'd like to know what the delivery dates are for some of these companies. Because I've dealt with them in the past, and I know that they only deliver 2 days a week.
Okay.
And I've seen a lot of the product from some of these companies, and I've got pictures of the product.
Okay. So, yeah, the delivery of food would be throughout the course of the year. Now, it may be that they deliver on specific days of the week, depending on their truck routing and all of those things. We can find that out for you. But, yeah, the actual delivery of product would be throughout the fiscal year next year, including in the summer months.
Okay, did we use Labatt this school year?
I'm going to find out for you. I'm not quite sure right off the top of my head.
Shamrock Cisco.
I think I can pull up the vendor file real quick and find out for you. Labatt. Labatt Foods, okay. We did utilize Labatt Foods this year, yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
There's no specific information here on the purchase order with regard to the delivery dates, but we can find that out.
I think that's something that we need to look at, because a lot of times when you're dealing with food, if the food's not here, you have to change your menus and everything.
That's right.
It creates a little bit of chaos.
Yes, sir. You're absolutely right, and that's why typically on the food bid you'll see more than one vendor recommended for their bid. We want to have some overlap there. One of the things that we're trying to do with our new food service director, who is just doing a bang-up, lights-out, fantastic job, she wants to do more actual cooking in our kitchens and deliver fresh meals as opposed to prepackaged meals. And so that's going to be her focus going into next year. And that was, she was part of this bid process review team, and that was kind of their objective in looking at these food vendors, specifically food vendors, was to have enough coverage there to be able to actually cook fresh meals as opposed to prepackaged food that's warmed and transported. So that's a focus going into next year for us.
That's a good focus.
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. But you see there that we've got several, Labatt, Shamrock, Cisco, and as you mentioned, El Charro and Ben K. Keith.
I think what I'm looking at is the amount of money that is going to 3 of the vendors.
Yes,
and
sir.
it's, you know, yeah, very substantial.
Yes.
And do we have any penalty clauses for if that state say that they're unable to deliver on time?
Without having a specific contract in front of me, I can find that out for you. My guess, very similar to most of our contracts with the district, whether it's transportation or food or whatever, my guess is yes, we do, but I would have to look at that contract specifically with that vendor. Yeah. Yeah, the contracts from vendor to vendor can vary slightly depending on their capability. But again, and to your point, very large dollar amounts. We feed 10,000 kiddos each year, and again, do that throughout the year, including in the summer. And our, I guess, learning through experience over the years, we'd much rather have 3 substantial vendors as opposed to just one, and then something happens with just one and it goes down. And then you've got a major problem in your supply chain. So we do like to break that up.
Okay. Do you think it would be possible for me to get a copy of the contract we had last year?
I can look into it, sure.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, Ms. Kirk with the motion, do I have a second?
Second by Morales.
Second by Morales. Roll call, please.
Alan Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
Ms. Morales?
What if she got dropped?
No, I can't tell.
Did Miss Morales get dropped?
She made the second.
Hope Morales,
I apologize, I got excited and hung up.
Hilda Sanchez,
Ms.
Hilda?
Sanchez?
Yes.
Bona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
All right, we now have the bid recommendation for milk.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the bid recommendation for milk.
All right, do we have any discussion?
Mr. President, I just wanted to know if this was a local dairy.
That was my question.
There's no law.
Mr. Cole?
Mr. Cole, are you there?
Maybe he got excited too.
Yeah, no, I did. I'm not sure. To answer your question, I don't have their address here in front of me, but
If you look on page 1 of 1, it says awarded to prices.
Okay, I thought it was a different name.
It's Dean Dairy Incorporated.
Yeah.
I tried to look it up online, and it seems like they have a connection to New Mexico and other organizations and states, but I didn't know if they were a local dairy or not.
Okay.
Let me look in our vendor file. I've got them, just, I've almost got them.
I know the last local dairy people that used to actually sell milk was Jerry Greathouse, and that was Greathouse Dairy.
Right. I remember that.
So barring any potential mergers that they may have had with some local outfits here, it looks like they're out of Kansas City.
Yeah.
So did we have any local dairies apply for the bid, or is it a bigger and more complicated process than I'm considering?
Well, I think we did. If you look at that second page there, you can see GH Dairy and Price's Dairy.
Okay.
I don't understand.
That's weird.
I don't think I see it, Mr. Cole, unless
Okay.
oh no, you are correct. It is on the columns, right? Awarded
Yes.
to.
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. I read the report wrong. I didn't notice the distinction between those.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And just, I'll throw this out to the board. A distinction between an RFP, a request for proposal, and a bid. These are bids. And so one of the major factors in a bid is the pricing. And so with an RFP, of course, pricing is a major factor as well. But you're structuring it more based on the services that you want specifically. And so an RFP, a request for proposal process, gives you a little more flexibility if maybe the pricing is not as competitive because you're wanting a specific product or service and according to the specs or the specifications of the RFP, whereas a bid, it really revolves heavily around the pricing.
Okay. So again, just from my understanding, are we awarding this to Prices or to Dean Dairy, or are they part of the same company?
We're recommending Dean Dairy, and I believe there may have been a merger there. Chris, do you want to talk to that? Mr. Tweed?
Because on the second sheet, I don't see anything for Dean Dairy, only Prices and GH Dairy.
Board President Getty, Superintendent Gottlieb, members of the board, that they are, I'm not sure if it's a subdivision of the company, but they are a smaller part of Dean's Dairies. It's Dean Dairies doing business as Price's Creameries.
Yeah,
And
okay.
it's also my,
Ms.
it's
Morales.
also my
Oh,
understanding.
sorry. I thought you were done.
I was also going to say it's my understanding that neither of the responders or the bidders are local. I believe they both have offices. The closest their offices are in El Paso, Texas.
Yeah, if you look
Thank you, sir.
if you look at Price's Dairy online, it pops up and shows you Price and shows you Dean Foods. So,
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Getty. Thank you all.
good questions. Any other discussion?
Very good.
If not, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
Mr. Edwards with a motion and Ms. Kirk with a second.
Sounds good.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alan Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
All right, next we have the bid recommendation for non-food items.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the bid recommendation for non-food.
Okay, do we have any discussion on this? All right, if not, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Edwards. Do I have a second?
I second
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez.
I heard Ms. Sanchez, so we'll go with Ms. Sanchez on the second. Roll call, please.
Alan Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
Okay, next we have bid recommendation for fresh produce.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the bid recommendation for produce.
Do we have any discussion?
Yes, I got a question.
Yes.
All right, were there any local farmers that put in for the bids on the fresh produce? Because I know in the past, Graves Farm and a few other farms around here, you know, when Mr. Lyman was around, he used to deal with a lot with the farmers, and I was just wondering, I didn't see any of those companies on here.
Yeah, Mr. Edwards, this is Chad Cole. So the fresh produce is a little tricky, just because of the seasons and the timing of what they grow. Some years we've got local growers who will grow various types of melons and those types of things that we are able to procure from them. And you're right, Mr. Graham did a great job with that. Chris, Mr. Tweet, did we have any local folks, vendors on the produce side this time around? I don't think we did.
So we did not have any that submitted for the bid, and that is because we are contracting with them through other means. We have some renewals in place from previous years, and also in speaking with Ms. Meeks, and I hope I don't mess this up, the farm to table, the New Mexico homegrown farm to table,
Yes,
right,
is another avenue that we use to contract with them. So these awards that we're making for produce do not take anything away from the local vendors, but are just to fill any gaps that we have from what the local vendors can't supply us.
And so, Mr. Tweed, on that, just for clarification, I think part of that is the total amount of produce that we might purchase if it doesn't cross a certain dollar threshold. That's one issue where we would not need to necessarily take that out for bid or RFP. Maybe the other issue is some of that produce is being sold to some of these companies, these larger companies that we're purchasing produce from. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
And Mr. President, just one quick comment. Based on the questions from the board, I think it's important to us as much as possible to make sure we're getting bids locally whenever we can, just to really support our local community. Understanding sometimes there's regulations or cost issues, I think it's just important to make sure that we continue to reach out to local vendors as well.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely, and we do. And as you saw with our food, we've got a local vendor there. El Charro is one that's local. But absolutely, we love it when our local vendors are able to participate, and we highly encourage it and reach out to them as well. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. If not, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Kirk with the motion and Mr. Edwards with the second. Roll call, please.
Alan Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
Okay, next we have fiscal year 2019-2020 obsolete district equipment disposal inventory for Del Norte Elementary.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the fiscal year 2019-2020 obsolete district equipment disposal inventory for Del Norte Elementary School.
Any discussion?
Mr. President, I've gone over the report. I just want to make sure, is there anything specific that we should look out for or know about related to anything on the report? It seems okay to me, but I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything that I should be aware of.
Mr. President, Superintendent, members of the board, this is Chad Cole. If I could chime in real quick on that point. So no, I think if you look at the report, it goes into pretty good detail on what we're disposing of, and really what we're talking about there is the old Del Norte Elementary School building. And again, just to kind of walk you through the timeline, right now they are doing asbestos abatement. And again, if you drive by, two of the things that are, well, maybe three of the things that are going to stand out to you as you drive by is you're going to see the pickup and drop off, parent pickup and drop off lanes have made substantial progress and will be making substantial progress in the coming days. But also you'll see a trailer out there, and again, all plastic around the doors coming out to the trailer and ventilated and all those things. I believe the trailer says Kearns on it. That's our asbestos abatement vendor for this project. Again, they're taking out the asbestos from the building. The next step with that will be to demolish that building after the asbestos has been removed. So that demo work will start in early July upon completion of the asbestos abatement. But really what you're seeing there, and again, if you go through the detail of the reports, there's a description of each one, whether it's wiring, plumbing, walls, ceilings, all of those things are a part of our inventory. It's an asset of the district. And so we've taken, we've taken the same precautions we take with each of these sites when we demo a building or dispose of assets. But in this case, this is just the building related for demolition purposes. So we'll be demolishing that building in the near future, and you know, all of these things have to align in sequence. So that's why we're bringing it here for you tonight, so that we can keep demo on track when we start in early July.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else?
I have one comment. I want to say thank you, Mr. Cole and Mr. Gottlieb, for your complete transparency in utilizing the process and board policy in moving forward with the demolition and with disposal. Thank you so much for bringing this to us.
Oh, absolutely.
Kudos.
Absolutely, as it should be. And I would just give a shout out to Mr. Mac Rogers, our construction project manager. Again, he's got an engineer in mind, and so timing and sequence makes sense to him, and he's done a really good job with our local contractor, Wade Construction. And just a shout out to Wade Construction and their crew. We really appreciate them. You know, their kids go to our schools. They're from this community. They've worked on several of our buildings. They're always great to work with our principals and staff, and that's the case with Del Norte as well. But they do such a high quality job on the finish, on the finished product. And we're really looking forward to Del Norte. Again, if you've driven by it, the brickwork is almost completed. There's some to do on the back side. I will tell you that the built-in cabinets, which we've made a part of our education specifications for the district, those are in on the second floor. They were going in early in the week, last week, on the first floor, and it's going to be really beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful building. And so I would just thank the board and its leadership, because construction is always a long-term venture, and you've got to do some early planning to get to the long-term result, and that is a reflection of our board and its leadership. So thank you all.
And I want to echo that with not the leadership from the board so much as contracting with a local provider. Yeah, Wade Construction has been in Roswell for many, many, many years, and they are a local construction company. In fact, I work with the Census 2020 committee. Kristen Wade is our faith-based chair, so I work closely with her. And they're very involved in our community, and we always appreciate it when you can use local vendors. Thanks again.
Mr. Getty?
Yes, Ms.
Ms. Sanchez?
Sanchez.
Is it a good time to ask a question on the usable furniture?
It's always a good time to ask a question.
Okay, I have a question on the usable furniture that will go to the great school convention of the charter school, which is Sydney Gutierrez. My question is, who determines that this usable furniture would go there?
Yes, ma'am. This is Chad Cole, if I could chime in on that one. So, yes, in looking at the furniture, so a lot of that furniture is coming out, and as you know, we have a storage facility at Edgewood, and so that's where we take old and damaged or obsolete furniture before it goes to auction. Of course, all of that needs to come to the board for approval, and you'll get a list of those items to approve for deletion before we do anything. But right now, that stuff has been moved over to the Edgewood facility, so it is in storage. And really, it's just a matter of okay, we look at it. So we see a lot of chairs, the little people chairs, and a lot of those little legs on the small chairs. The feet on the chairs tend to be broken off, or you may have tennis balls on them and those types of things. It's really not, it's a danger. Anytime there's a sharp edge or something like that, we need to get it out of there. We don't need that in there with our kiddos. And so we're always very cautious about letting people shop essentially the obsolete inventory over there, because a lot of that stuff does have little sharp edges or things that are broken or could be a hazard. And so that is why we don't tend to bring people over and say, okay, get what you want here.
Gotcha.
But what we do is we do have our maintenance group set aside items that we believe can be reused. And in the case of the charter school expansion, we were approached by the principal, Mr. Joe Andreas, and he's trying to do some things on a very tight budget. And without getting into all the gory details of some of the funding that has been taken away from the charter schools in New Mexico in recent years, they are trying to expand on an extremely tight budget, and so he requested to go over there and take a look at some of that furniture and see if it could be used. Talk to Mr. Gottlieb, and we did approve him going over there to do that. I did accompany him with our maintenance group and our maintenance supervisor, one of them, and we did review and also our fixed asset coordinator. And we did set aside and mark some items that he would like to take over to his school. Now, this next step in that process will be to bring you, the board, a list of those items for transfer. That's another potential avenue that is legal under the state statutes for disposition of our assets. We are allowed to transfer those to other educational institutions, and in this case, our own charter school. So we did review a lot of that, some tables, some chairs, those types of things. We did inspect them to look for sharp edges or broken items, and we did mark them, set them aside, and record the inventory tag numbers. And again, we'll bring those tag numbers and descriptions to the board for your specific authorization to transfer them to the charter school.
Okay, and Mr. Cole, did any of our current elementary schools or any of our schools from our district request any of that usable furniture at this point?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. And again, usually it's pretty rough stuff. There's some of it that's usable. Now, in the case of Del Norte, we're essentially building a new school and bringing in new furnishings and new equipment. So that's a really good opportunity to take some items that may not be that old and transfer those to the charter schools. So it's kind of a timing thing and a luck thing in this case, where they're actually going to get some usable furniture out of the deal.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cole.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? All right, may I have a motion to approve?
So this is Hope.
Ms. Morales made the motion. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Edwards. Roll call, please.
Ellen Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez. Hilda Sanchez,
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
Okay, next we have the military leave policy G2950. It's the second reading.
Mr. President, members of the board, we have policy G2950, military leave. This is a second reading. I recommend approval of this policy.
Okay. Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes.
All right, what does it mean when we have part of the military leave that says not to exceed 15 working days? It's scratched out, and then there's red portions of it. What does the red mean? Is that going to be left in or taken out?
This
Mr.
is
Hill?
Maria. If you look at second page, it will tell you what each of the color codes mean. So the green was just when we were doing our search for the keywords for the military leave and the policy. The red indicated an addition. So Miss Mona Kirk-Vogel and Hilda Sanchez and I got together, and so anything that was red, in red, indicates that it was an addition, and then anything that has a strike-through is language to be removed.
Okay, so on the military leave, is it gonna be the 15 days? So that's scratched out. Is it gonna be for a year?
Correct. It was scratched out because we do have employees that have been activated, called to active service for a period that is greater than 15 days. And so if you notice, the fourth line down from there is in red, and it says as verified through official military orders. And we
You answered my question.
We actually do have a teacher that is being activated for a longer period of time, and wanted to make sure that we were that we had the language to accommodate our employees.
So let's say that a person goes on a year deployment. Are we going to cover the full year, or is it 15 days or 30 days?
It would be verified through the military orders, and then if you continue to go down, it also addresses the insurance and the leave, the sick leave issue. So we try to think through all those details, but it totally would depend on the person and what their military orders specifically stated.
Okay, you've answered my question.
Anything else?
I was going to say, on the first line that's got the red, is verified through official military order. Can we leave that in?
The red is added. That's staying in. If it's red, it's been added.
Okay.
Anything that's red is staying.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Edwards, do I have a second? Second by Ms. Sanchez. Roll call, please.
Ellen Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
Mr. President, this is kind of near and dear to my heart. I just want to thank the board for doing this.
Actually, it's very good. It's very, very good. Yeah, really good, guys. All right, next we have graduation requirements, second reading, policy I-7350.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of policy I-7350, graduation requirements. This is a second reading.
Is there any discussion? All right, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Kirk with the motion, do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Sanchez.
Second by Ms. Sanchez. We have a motion and a second, so roll call, please.
Ellen Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
Okay, next we have policy J 1081, open enrollment, second reading.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of policy J-1081, open enrollment. This is a second reading.
Is there any discussion on this one?
No, but I would like to make a comment. I would like for the rest of the board members to take note that at the bottom of each policy, it is highlighted in red and when it is updated. So if you will note down there, it's 3/4/2020 for each of these policies. Thank you.
Which we got to get back to.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Kirk made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second by Morales.
Second by Ms. Morales. Roll call, please.
Ellen Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
All right. Next, we have reports. Mr. Gottlieb.
Again, members, thank you again for our meeting today and all the good questions. I have several things I would like to go over. Our first one is an announcement. When we were up at the school board training in February, we were able to hear Dr. Hawley. And I had the opportunity to come back, and we tried to get him right away. We ran into lots of obstacles with his timeline, his schedule. He's an extremely, very busy gentleman. Worked with Miss Sanchez, Susan Sanchez, and we were able to secure his services for our next school year. Each one of you will be receiving the book. I know a couple of you have already got it. And he starts off with training with our principals and administrators July 27th. We have 5 videos for each school that they must go through as they go through his training. And then Dr. Hawley will provide a conference call, a Zoom call, a Skype call, Mr. Royce, with the elementary group separate, and then the middle school, and then the high school, and then the staff will be working with us. This is a year-long project. Susan was very instrumental in help bringing him, Dr. Hawley, to Roswell, and we're very excited to have him come. It's apropos at timing, so this is a great thing for the school district. I really appreciate the board members coming back after listening to him talk, and we were very fortunate to secure his services. I would like the 2 members from the board to serve on our committee of back to school. Like I said earlier, I'm hoping by Friday we will have the information from the PED and the governor about what requirements we are going back to school. I have 2 very large documents and a very large committee of people I'd like to ask, but I'd like to start with 2 board members to serve on that committee. We have a survey out to our teachers, and that will be concluded by the end of next week. And we already have, our parent survey's only been out 4 days. We have over 800 responses already.
Wow.
And you saw all the questions that we have added. And so we have lots of information to share. And you saw the first document I sent out to the board to review of what, through the CDC guidelines, of what it takes to go back to school and everything that's on that thing. I've been starting on phase 2, and that is our academic portion of it. Ms. Cole has been instrumental on those things and what we can and can't provide. There will be some spillover from both documents as we work on both things. On that, it will be who's responsible, what's it gonna cost, where we're going, how do we store stuff, and what do we have in classrooms. I mean, it's that detailed, so we're trying to get that out. I would like to get out to the public. I'll be working with maintenance on this issue. The cleaning materials that we'll be using, because that's been a lot of the questions from the parents, is what disinfectants are you using, how are you using. So what we're planning to do is do a video to show how a custodian will clean a bathroom, how they will clean a classroom, and one of those things. And then we'll go through that whole process to show the parents, because that's a lot of their questions. What is your process? What are you using? How can you ensure that we're going through this? How many times a day? So it's a combination of both reports. So two board members is essential on that issue. The official opening of school in the fall, I can tell the board we are hoping that we get to start school again as normal as possible with a lot of following guidelines. Don't know the directions yet. As you well know, starting next week, our athletics gets to start back up in small pods. Thank you for those who called or emailed me questions about what does that really mean. So I appreciate that ahead of time. CARES funding. I've had several of you talk to me about CARES funding. We had an interesting phone call last week. With all the superintendents in the state. We were given directions from the PED, and one of the things they said is the state legislature may take credit for our CARES Act. I have another question back to our secretary on that issue. We will need that money for extra cleaning supplies, the technology for our kids, getting our buildings exterior so people can pull up if they have their Chromebooks. They can get on at any time of day and night. So those things are very, very important to us, and continuing that professional development as required through emotional and social that Ms. Sanchez and Ms. Morales has talked about ahead of time, that we're already starting on that portion, but that's very expensive. So we are looking at all those different areas, and it's going to be a very challenging time to start up of school. Yeah. We will know, I've talked to several senators and several representatives of the special board meeting that's come, special board meeting, yeah. The special session that is coming up. They have a meeting on the 17th at night. And on the 18th and 19th, they should have it. From what they're relaying to me is it's going to be a very short process. And that they will have this next year pretty well covered. It will probably be the following year that we'll be seeing some difficulties. And hopefully by our workshop, I can have to you some information from our parent survey. It's quite lengthy. I think the average number of people that wrote questions in the response boxes was no less than 175. Some were as great as 600
That's
questions in there. So we got a lot of information to cover. And parents have a lot of concerns, and rightfully they should have those concerns to us. Mr. Cole, Ms. Cole, or Mr. Heel, was there anything else in that process that you asked me to talk about?
No, sir, I think you covered it all.
Okay, so.
Agreed.
No, I appreciate you talking about the 75% credit, because you're right, we're gonna need every bit of that.
Just so we can get school back together. So I'll stand for any questions if the board have any on my superintendent's report at this time.
Did you need us to,
I do need 2 board members.
so do we have any volunteers to be on the back to school committee?
This is Hope Morales. I would like to serve on this committee.
Okay, I have Hope Morales.
also like to serve in that committee.
Oh,
Oh, shoot. Oh.
Was that Miss?
I have Miss Sanchez. Sanchez. Was that you?
I think that was Mona.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. All right. James, did you want to be on that committee? Do we have 3 people that want to be on it?
We can have a backup.
We can have a backup. Did you want to
Well,
be on
hey,
it?
I'll be a back. I'll be utility. I'll back utility. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Edwards. We have Ms. Morales, Ms. Sanchez, and Mr. Edwards serving on there as a backup. So there
Great.
you go.
Thank you very much, board members. I sure appreciate it.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Gottlieb? Okay. I guess personnel.
Personnel. Mr. Hill?
Yes, sir. So in front of you, you should have the personnel report dated June 2nd of 2020. Not much action this month, but I assure you there will be for the following one.
And board members, you did get the announcement of the 2 new elementary principals?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good, good.
And now we have general ledger. Mr. Cole?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So you've got the general ledger there in front of you. It's pretty clean. We're going to do some more review of all those funds and make sure that we're not deficient by even a penny in any one particular line item account. But just looking over what's there as of the end of last week, it looks really clean. So that's a good thing. And if I could, while you're perusing that, I'll just talk to you a little bit more about Del Norte and some of our construction that's going on. As you know, and we talked about, asbestos abatement is going on in the old side of the building right now. That's scheduled to take place for the entire month of June. Then in July, the first or second week of July, we'll be doing demolition of the old building over there. So thank you very much for approving our fixed asset and building disposition so that we can go ahead and demo that building and haul that off and make way for all the new. We are planning to have that building ready as of August 1st. So a certificate of occupancy, going through the final punch lists, all of those things. We are planning as though we would have a normal opening of school on a normal date, which would be August 5th. So we are planning as though we will be able to open as normal, even knowing that that may or may not be the case. So we're planning to have that building open by August. And again, we're really proud of it. We really appreciate everyone's hard work, our teachers, our principal, our staff, Wade Construction, our community, our school board, all the leadership that it has taken to get it to this point, and it's been several years in the making. Simultaneously, we've got Mesa Middle School is wrapping up its design. We anticipate a few more weeks here in the summer of finalizing some design. We are going to come to the board in your, I think you're going to have a special retreat coming up. Would like to have Mr. Rogers come visit with the board about some long-term planning. Again, construction is always a long-term plan. It's one of those things, the plans we make today will impact us a year to 2 years from now on what we're able to do. And so we'd like to, one of the things we'd like to do, just kind of anticipating what's going on at the state level with revenues and coming in under projection, and we all know why, oil and gas and the related shutdowns. We'd like to try and accelerate our process on construction. We'd like to get some more of these schools in the hopper and get them going. And the reason for that being, if we reflect back to 2008, 2009, the last financial crisis that we faced as a state and as a country, We saw a lot of the public school funding support dry up pretty rapidly during that time frame, and some of the projects that were matched, if the dirt wasn't moving, if there were no encumbrances, those monies were taken back. And so we'd like to accelerate our process a little bit, and we'll be bringing you some thoughts and some proposals in talking to our design teams and our constructors, and just thinking about how we might be able to get a few more schools started in design and actual construction, get some dirt moving. Just another way to try and make sure that we secure our funds for those schools. There have been an awful lot of people in this community that have worked very hard for many years to try and get us to this point, and we are so close to getting all of our schools, and that's the plan. And so we'd certainly like to wrap up with Mesa. Well, we're going to finish Del Norte. We're certainly going to do Mesa, but we'd also like to get Nancy Lopez, Washington Avenue, and Mountain View underway, and then be looking towards the future for Roswell High School. We know that there's a very strong need there, and so our goal is to get as many of these underway and going to secure our state matching funds. And again, that just leverages what the community is able to do with its local tax dollars by paying 72% of the total cost of these projects. We're able to do many more than we would on our own as a community. So that's a big deal for us. We'll be looking at taking an RFP for general contractor, bringing that to you in about October or November timeframe for Mesa Middle School. And again, look forward to visiting with the board on some strategic planning in terms of getting some of these other schools underway a little bit quicker through some various processes. And I stand for any questions that you may have.
Is he coming on the 26th?
Yeah.
Is that what, okay. So we're going to hear about that on the 26th, right, Mr. Cole?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the reason I added that to our board training day is I think it's very important we talk about the project for Nancy Lopez. That is one school we're going to need some extra help, and how we can do that and get that going quicker is a critical thing. I don't want to come back a third time and not be finished with something that Ms. Sanchez and I started off a long time ago with Sunset and UHS. So it's been that far back. So we'd like to get this finished.
Yeah, no kidding. Cool. Any other questions? All right. I guess that brings us to me, and I just wanted to remind everybody that we are having the board workshop June 26th. We'll give you more information, but I'm guessing we'll start in the morning. And we're hoping to make it a half day, but as we add stuff to it, it might go a little longer. So just be paying very close attention to communication from Mr. Gottlieb the next few days.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
It will be here in the boardroom,
It will be here in the boardroom.
and I've reserved it from 8:30 to 3.
And it has been reserved from 8:30 to 3, so.
Yeah, we have to practice social distancing.
Yeah, so you can't touch anybody. You can just come in and look at us from a distance. All right, we'll get in a big circle, kumbaya circle. I'm joking. Nobody's laughing. Okay, well, you might be laughing. You're on mute. All right, so with that, that's the end of the agenda. Does anybody have any questions about the June 26th?
Are we gonna have refreshment?
Refreshments.
We'll have refreshments.
We'll have refreshments.
I like red Kool-Aid.
You like red Kool-Aid? Is that what you said? I like red Kool-Aid too.
That can be.
That's
Oh
good
my
stuff.
gosh. It was 8:30 to 3:30, is that what I heard?
Well, 8:30 to 3 is how long the room has been reserved. Now, it may not go that long, but we've added some things to it, so it could go past lunch. but probably it won't. All right.
I just want to make sure I put that on my calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm excited. It's going to be fun because we haven't seen each other and all we do is talk on this little device. So it'll be interesting. But it should be fun and hopefully you guys will be excited to be there. All right. With that, I will end the agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
I second.
Mr. Edwards beat Mrs. Kirk, so we're going to give Ms. Kirk the second. Roll call, please.
Alan Getty,
Yes.
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
And with that, this meeting is adjourned at